Hello, everybody. Welcome into the LFC Transfer Room. It's Jack, it's Damon, it's Anthony, it's Sebastian. It's a very sad stream, very sad collection of gentlemen here today. We're right off the heels of Liverpool 0, Real Madrid 1. Um, guess going to kind of open the floor up. It's going to be a venting session for everybody, I guess. Whoever kind of, I guess, Damon, you were the most angered out of all of us when we first got into the room, the StreamYard. I guess you kind of lead us off with kind of your immediate thoughts after that match.
I just feel cheated of a trophy. We are the better team. We are the better team, and we were the better team tonight. I mean, Courtois masterclass, like the commentators were saying, but it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. I mean, we could have had Courtois play well, but that final third was just shocking, absolutely shocking. The amount of times they had chances to put away, or the final pass was just awful. The crossing was awful. The corners were awful. A dead ball corner, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson on a corner, and they can't beat the front man. It's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And it's so disappointing after that season. We're on the quadruple. We was on the quadruple, weren't we, 2 weeks ago, and now we've got a cup double. What an absolute disaster! I'm actually fuming. I'm fuming. I don't know what to say to you. Honestly, I'm fuming.
Anthony, the way you described it to me was less upset than you thought you'd be. Kind of speak to that, I guess.
You know what it is? I think the last time we lost to Madrid and Kiev, it felt like that was it. So we weren't going to come back and get to another Champions League final. It felt like that was our only opportunity. Whereas this time, it feels like the a bit of reinvestment in the summer. We'll be back and maybe win it again. But I don't think we're in a position to kind of be like, oh, we should win every single trophy, every competition. These matches happen. Like Damon said, we were by far the better side. I put in the chat that Madrid had one or two chances all match. It was a horrific. It didn't feel like we should have lost the match. It felt like a goal was still there to get, but like I said, it is what it is. But we have to move on and hopefully we'll win it next season.
Yeah, indeed. Tino,
Yeah,
your thoughts?
It's gutting. It's heartbreaking, especially how we played in the first half. I thought this first half we controlled it, we dominated, we created an abundance of chances, and to not go into that half-time period with at least a goal is just, you knew it was going to be tough going into the second half, just because you know how good Real Madrid are. And I saw on BT Sport with Stephen Jarrett saying, no, it was a defensive masterclass from Real Madrid. I'm sat like, no, it wasn't. It was not a defensive. It was a Courtois masterclass. There's a slight difference. Real Madrid overall, for me, were quite poor. Liverpool in that second half were just as poor. Damon's already touched on it. Our passing, our choices, the choices that we made in the final third were at times atrocious in that second half. Quite simply not good enough. And to walk away from that without a trophy is just gutting, given how far we've come this season. To play in every single game you possibly could have played in, which very few teams, if any, have done before, to lose 4 games, including this one, all season in all competitions, and to walk away from that with 2 domestic cups as a season is just. I feel like we've underachieved. We haven't, because of how well we've done, but I just feel like we've underachieved, and it's just, yeah. Courtois was amazing. He played brilliantly. He made, what was it, something like 8 saves throughout the whole match. Madrid had 2 shots on target, one of them being the tap-in. Just, yeah, it's a really, really tough, cruel end to the season, given how close we were to the quadruple.
There's a lot of discussion that will happen today and going forward about, did Madrid deserve it? Did Liverpool deserve it? It's always an interesting thing for me. I'll kind of offer the contrarian perspective, I guess, the Madrid side, which they set up for this. You saw it every time the camera would pan to the Liverpool attack in that first half, or the Madrid attack in that first half, when it was just Benzema, Valverde, and Vinicius forward. Liverpool would win it back. It would pan back, and there would be 7 players in defense. They played for this, and it panned out.
That's something we've struggled against all season. Teams who sit back, teams who really defend deep, and play one up top, try and go for the counter. We've struggled against teams like Burnley all for the last few years. That's one of the things that we. That's one of the reasons why we really brought in Thiago, because we thought he was going to be the guy to try and unlock these defenses and give us an extra string to our bow in terms of trying to overcome that. Manchester City do it incredibly well. When they sit deep, you put them in a position what they love. Whereas Liverpool, it's quite opposite. If you go and attack, if you try and counter us and try and actually play a proper game of football, you're putting us in our element. And Madrid, it was a very carefully, tactically astute game plan that they played, and it worked all game.
Yeah, I want to kind of offer a bit of perspective, and in the comments, use this as your space to get it out, because the origins of the transfer room were in January of 2021. And those first few months were very, very tough watches. We didn't do watch-alongs, fortunately, so no one had to sit through the Burnley defeat, the Brighton defeat, the Everton defeat the last season. So you think about where you came from that. It's tough right now to think about how good this year has been. But I also love the concept of rating a season out of 10 based on the trophies won. Damon, out of 10, what would you give this season as? I know you said you were very upset with how it kind of concluded. Out of 10, where are you at with this year?
You know what? I guess this was going to happen, because I said the 2 week after, if we lose this game, I said the 2 week after we'll be so raw, we'll be so disappointed in it that we might give it a lower score than what it really is. I mean, in a couple of years' time, we'll go back on it and say, look, cup double is pretty decent, that. But because I'm feeling the way I'm feeling now, score out of 10, a 6.5.
6.5.
Ask me in a year and it might be a 7.5. That's to where we were. I think we need to win one of them big boys. I do. We should have won one of them. We should have won one of the big boys at the position we were in. I mean, we didn't win the games on normal time, did we, for the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup? So it takes a bit of a shine off it as well, that. But 2 years' time, I might have calmed down a bit.
That's a good mentality. And Tino, you mentioned that kind of how the season ended was so devastating. Where does the season, I guess, as a whole, you mentioned so many matches were played, but the biggest ones, the big 2 that Damon just mentioned, didn't go our way. Season out of
10. Before the Champions League, I think it was maybe in the Wolves post review. I said we win the Champions League, it's like a 9-10 out of 10. We lose the Champions League, it's a 5 or a 6. And in terms of how the season's gone, for me, right now, I'm still in that mentality, just because of how we've lost it. It doesn't hurt. It hurts because we've lost it, but it's more the manner in which we've done to control the game, to be in with the league as well, to be in such good position for Villa to be 2-0 up and then throw it away in 5 minutes. It's the manner in which we lost it makes it hurt more, which is why right now I feel like it's a 5 or a 6. If I'm trying to take my Liverpool hat off and try and look at it objectively, I'm sat there and thinking, that's one hell of a ride. That's one hell of a season to go to come bring the league against the Manchester City side who have dominated, who are financially doping or sports washing or whatever the heck you want to call it, to bring it to the last game and to have 1 point in it, and to get to the final of the Champions League against and lose to a Real Madrid side, which is a very, very good side. Irrespective of whether it's good in comparison to their previous sides, it is still a top side. I'm still sat there thinking, maybe a 7.5, possibly. But yeah, it still hurts.
Anthony, for you, where does the season fall?
I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I think I would have gave it higher if we had actually won one of the big two trophies of the Premier or Champions League. But just because we played every single match, it's been probably the most fun season ever as a Liverpool fan, to be honest. Went into the very last, playing every single match. Went into the last game of the season to see if we could win the Premier League. Sadly, obviously missing out in the Champions League, but the feeling of winning two trophies, I think we're underestimating it a little bit. We've literally won two trophies this season, like a double, but it's just gutting. Obviously, not winning that Champions League trophy, but yeah, 7 out of 10 for me.
Brandon gave it a 6, and Matthias gave it a 7.5 out of 10. I said before this match that, and I'm clearly in the minority here, that regardless of the result, I viewed the season as a 10 out of 10, precisely for what Anthony said. I viewed it less as the results. And yes, it really sucks that tomorrow they'll only have the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. They'll look like slight idiots for having only those two trophies in the parade. But you still push it to the very end, and the margins were so fine. Speaking of those margins, could anything have changed in this match? I saw a comment here that I want to pull up. I've just lost it, but Kostas, actually it was Carter, is more of a broader comment. But I thought Kostas should have come on. I thought our corners especially were incredibly poor. We were going to get half dozen of those down the stretch of that match, and I just don't trust Robertson or Trent to consistently put in a good one versus Kostas. I don't know. Could anything have been done differently? I'll kind of just pose as a general question in that match.
You know what? I think if we have to be picky, I don't think Trent had a good match. I think he was the one who stood out as quite poor. A lot of his set pieces were poor and defending. I think you could argue a case he wasn't exactly tracking his man back for Vinicius' goal, but there's not much we could have. I think we should have played balls over the top in the first half. I know Madrid sat back, but we didn't play enough balls over the top to the forwards. I think whenever we did, we had good chances. Diaz got through. I'm not sure how Madrid escaped any yellow cards throughout that match as well, by the way. But Salah obviously had that chance where Courtois saved it. But yeah, it's a tough one, man. I thought we had enough chances to win the match, and Courtois saved them. That's what happened.
I think Klopp got the first sub wrong. I thought Diaz was one of the better ones going forward, and Mane was just shocking. And I was shocked with Mane because if it's his last game for Liverpool, I mean, I thought he'd at least turn up for this one, and Salah didn't turn up either again. He's been talking a lot in the last couple of months, and he didn't turn up again. But Diaz with the bright spark in terms of the front three, and they brought him off. I mean, why? If you're going to go on winning the game, you need to keep your best players on at that point with the ones that are playing in form. And Mane was one at it. Every pass he made was off. Every dribble he made, he ran into someone every time. I mean, there's sentimentality needs to be thrown out of this club. With the transfers, if you need to sell someone, sell them. If you need to drop someone, you drop them. It doesn't work. That's why we haven't won what we've won this season.
I think I was watching Louis' reaction that he thought Firmino was really poor off the bench. I thought Firmino showed as much life as he could in the circumstances he was given. I may be, again, in the minority in that. But I thought he looked really, like, just his movement and just the flicks that he was doing. There was the one moment from Mane, and I agree a lot with what Damon said about Mane's performance. But he always has that moment of magic he could potentially do. I think you saw him kind of shift past two defenders in that first half and got it onto his right, and Courtois tipped it onto the post. It was nearly a goal. Like, it was nearly an unbelievable piece of skill. And he has it in his locker. But beyond Mane, who can really create centrally for us? A lot of our threat comes from out wide, and that's just much easier to block when you can keep guys in a low block deep in the box. So, yeah, I don't know. Tino, do you think anything else in that match you wanted to see differently?
If I'm being perfectly honest, I do agree with Damon about Diaz. I thought he was one of two players in the entire squad for me that turned up, which was him and Konate. I thought Konate was phenomenal all game. He was aggressive in the challenge. He did really well in a couple of 1v1s against Vinicius Jr. But to sub off Luis Diaz, who was one of the most exciting, brightest players in that in the first half, and to sub him off midway through the second half is just, I didn't think was the right move. If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't think Salah's done enough to warrant a new contract since he came back from AFCON. I really don't. I think he's been atrocious. He scored, a couple against United, and that's about it. That's all he's really done. He was very poor. Him and Sadio had a good couple of shots and chances, but I think overall throughout the game they were very, very poor. Subs maybe could have come earlier. I think he only used 3 subs out of 5. Could have potentially come earlier, but again, just it's tough to take. To dominate the way we did, and for the substitutions not to work out, and then it's really tough to take. I think Bobby potentially could have started the game. I thought Bobby came on, he was quite lively, he was quite bright. He had a couple of good flicks in the short amount of time that he was on. I thought he potentially could have started the game, maybe over Salah, if I'm being brutally honest.
I think we have a lot of, later in the stream, I think there's a lot of instant reaction squad decisions we can make. I want to pose this from Carter. Origi would have won the match if he's on. Is that a laugh-inducing like question statement? I kind of think it is. I think that he's got a bit of a aura around him that's somewhat unfair, where like he just comes on and he wins matches. Like he's had a lot of poor performances. Like let's not mistake it. He's a legend, but he's also been very poor at times. I don't know.
You know what? He is poor, but the way Salah and Mane played today, would it have been any worse than them?
It's a fair point.
I mean, he could have come on and done something more than them. I mean, a shot on goal would have been more than them, what they did, you know. That's how poor they were. So I do think Origi's not good enough for this Liverpool team in terms of the first team. Definitely not good enough, and he's not, you know, he's going to be eased out this summer, so, and he's not good enough for the squad now, but he still can do something. And I think, especially if the other 2 players aren't doing anything,
I think he offers something different to what we have in terms of our forward line. He's a bit of a presence in comparison to Mo, Diogo, Bobby, Sadio. He's a bit more. He's a bit tall. He's a bit more of a presence in the box, and we haven't really played to that a lot, which is maybe something, given he's leaving, something we maybe need to address in the transfer window. I don't think he's good enough long term for the squad. He's certainly not a starter, but in terms of someone who you want to offer something a bit different, someone you want to make an impact off the bench, I think he certainly could have been one of those people. It's just a shame he was injured, I think.
I want to bring up some comments. I'm instituting a rule on the channel. If you're going to come in here as a rival fan and try and banter us, you have to accompany it with what team you support. I will only accept slander from Madrid fans, and that's it. Because you beat us today. City fans, you've never even touched this trophy. And everyone else, you've won nothing this year. So
I'm surprised Man United fans even watch this. I don't know what this is. What is this? What's Champions League?
Look,
your game's tomorrow, lads. Your game. Your game's a different game. Thursday nights.
I think, me personally, I look a bit more positively on Madrid's performance. I think that they deserved this, in my opinion. You know, you can't claim Liverpool are mentality monsters for edging close victories, and then look at Madrid do that exact same thing and say that it's undeserved. The referee, I thought, was poor at times.
That's an understatement.
Okay, does anybody understand that one moment? It wasn't a huge one, but there was the throw-in that Liverpool took. He blew the whistle, and then made them take the throw-in again.
Yeah.
There were quite a few moments.
I thought he blew the whistle because he thought he was Real Madrid for, and I thought
it was like just when we had momentum, right?
Yeah,
he kept blowing the whistle.
Yeah,
it's just a farce. Some of these officials are a farce, and the reason why they get away with it is because there's no accountability.
Militao fouled Diaz, and he gave a free kick the other way.
Yeah, bizarre. even some of the like the fouls in the first half with Sadio where he's got his back to goal and then they just trip him and he's like, get up. Yeah. And you're like, what are you doing? It's clearly a foul. Are you blind? Or he also seemed to leave his cards at home. I like he gave one card in the entire game, which was for Fabinho, which fair enough was a yellow card, perfectly understandable, perfectly acceptable yellow card, but just he didn't have a great night.
I want us to have a quick moment of satisfaction. Read this man's name, and then read who he's trying to banter. Arsenal for life.
We've got Super Mick Arteta.
Isn't that the side who bottled top 4 after being in top 4 for the majority of the season?
It's tough to laugh about right now, but I still find that one video that was circling by the Arsenal fan who made it, and it was the Champions League edit of like the anthem, but with their players in it. And they did that in like March, and then they didn't make the Champions League.
You know what? Fair play to them though, because at the end of the day, I'd be bantering other teams if this were this situation. I mean, we've been giving it all season, haven't we? I mean, we've been going on for a quadruple, and we've been giving that quadruple talk, and rightly so as well, because we was in it. Then we weren't in it until we wanted. We weren't in it until we wanted it. So, yeah, bring it on. We'll see next season. See what happens next season. It's going to be in the same cycle again. We're going to be in 2-horse race with league and.
Yeah, Patrick, I want to commend you on your ability to understand math, but not context. Yes, 0 is equal to 0, but 2 is not equal to 0. Yeah, I mean, look, ASR, like, dude, if you think this is crying, like, I want you to kind of use your eyes rather than just. I mean, look, dude, you just won the Champions League, and you're in here in a rival fan's channel, a relatively small one, mind you, just spouting off. If that's how you want to carry your victory, well, I'm glad you're carrying it with us. Thanks for the view. I do found me personally, I love players who kind of get a bit more of like an ego to it. And Salah kind of with his it's time for revenge, those kind of things. Is there an egg on his face, proverbially, or is he kind of, how do you view Salah after that match?
I think I'm not gonna lie. I think you guys are being a bit harsh on Salah. I thought they played particularly well. Not like to obviously how we're used to seeing them in their peaks, let's say, but. I thought Madrid, they defended well at the end of the day. I thought Casemiro in particular was unbelievable, but in Courtois, he saved some good shots. I thought Mane's one was guaranteed to go in the back of the net, but obviously Courtois pulled off a masterclass save, and Salah's right-footed shot towards the end could have went in, but great save from Courtois as well. But I just don't think they had enough service today. I thought Robertson went as bad as Trent, but I thought Trent could have done a lot better with his service, and that's what lost us the match in my opinion. We just didn't create enough to score, but we also didn't take our chances.
I think the problem with Salah recently is taking too much time on the ball. He's not knowing what to do. He's
overthinking
at the wrong time, or he's shooting at the wrong time. He can't. It's like he's stuck in two minds sometimes. It's a bit. It reminds me of Sterling when he used to play for us.
Yeah. I think you could just look at the way Benzema and Vinicius kind of linked up. Madrid had no problems in those few moments they were forward. They were decisive and they were quick. Granted, they had more space because of Liverpool's formation, but I agree with you. I think I agree with Matthias that I think we were being a bit harsh on Salah, but I don't agree with that. Don't disagree with that assessment that he was slow at times. And that's just been his general. He's never been the kind of guy who, I mean, he does kind of, I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I'm just kind of waffling, but
in moments he does like fast things, doesn't he? But generally speaking,
yes,
most of the time he's quite slow on the ball and he takes his time. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, he's very calculated in what he does. Meticulous, and you like. It seems for me since he came back from AFCON, he's been like Damon just said. He seems to be overthinking it. He at times during the game he wants to try something, or he's thought of something, but he hasn't done it with his feet. It's like his body's just a bit too slow in comparison to where his head's at. It's a tough one to take. The one thing that I think we need to really focus on as a fan base is how far we've come in just this season in comparison to last season, and to get to every final, to win 2 trophies, albeit domestic cups, is still such a huge achievement, and it's something we haven't done under Jurgen Klopp. We haven't won domestic cups. It's something that he's not really put a lot of effort into, and he's used it as essentially a time to rotate. And I think the amount of games we've played, 61, 62 games this season, I think in the end, it's just caught up to us a bit. We looked at times a bit lethargic, a bit tired. Our passing, our decision making in the final third could have been better. But the back end of this season, the last 2 games, isn't the defining moment of how the season's gone, because the season has been such an incredible, such an exciting, such a topsy-turvy season. Because if you look back in January, we were 14 points behind City in the league. Everybody sat there screaming, saying the league's over, it's a dead league, it's a boring league, and to drag it back to the final game of the season is such an incredible achievement. And then to get to the final of the Champions League as well is such an amazing achievement, alongside 2 domestic cup wins. It's just, you don't get better than that. So I think as much as that most of the time I'm a negative person when it comes to Liverpool, like this loss, this back end of the season is certainly going to ruin my summer. But I'm trying to be as positive as I can be, if I'm being honest.
Definitely. It's going to be very interesting what happens next. I think there's a wide range of options available. So let's have some gut reactions after that. You know, look at kind of what we would try and immediately change with this, the big picture stuff for next season. Carter mentions that Fabio Carvalho, a player that's already been brought in, could have made a difference. Maybe. I don't know. He's young. I don't envision him as being too influential next season just because it's his first year. I almost view him as a Kostas kind of guy in his first year. But you'll see, obviously. A resident Arsenal fan in the chat asked about Sadio Mane. Where do we stand? Where do we stand on does he leave and should he leave?
I don't want Mane to leave at all. I think he's still got much more to offer in that centre forward role, and obviously he's versatile, he can play across the front 3. But we do need another forward. Origi's leaving, and I think we've seen today that you still need that extra bit of rotation. I think looked a bit tired at times, and if we. I really don't want Mane to leave. That's the thing. Obviously, he's been linked with Bayern quite a bit. He said he's going to announce it, didn't he? After the final, I've not seen anything that Mane said. So I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. But it'll be good for him to stay. Same with Salah. I don't really think there's many players in the world who can replace him. I think you could argue Nkunku, but there's no one putting up these stats on a consistent basis for the past 5-6 seasons. So it's going to be tough, but. Obviously, eventually going to have to move on and we'll have to find a way. But it's gutting from the forwards, obviously. There's not many options in the world, but for midfielders as well. We've already lost a final to Madrid. Now we've lost Tchouaméni. He's going to go to Madrid as well. So we'll have to make some good signings in the summer to be at the top again.
I was hoping that if we'd won the final, we could say to Aurelion, hey, buddy, you want to join the losers? And now it's like he already favored Madrid. They just won. It's like, all right, that's almost. I mean, there was obviously a prayer, but I think that one's done. I think he would have been brilliant. But in terms of Mane, Damon, Tino, kind of where do you guys kind of stand on
that? You know what? I'd accept him leaving because he's been brilliant since he's gone to a centre forward position, but he's still not a centre forward, is he? He's still not that number 9. I mean, we're being linked with Kane this week. And if we got someone like Kane, that is a different beast in terms of number 9. I'm not saying he's a better player than Mane, but in terms of number 9, is a different beast. And he's get Kane, we win either the Champions League or the league next season, guaranteed. That's how big of a beast he is in terms of as number 9. And that's I said earlier, we need to get rid of sentimentality. I love Mane to bits. I've got the Mane shirt on now, and he's one of my favourite players, always has been. But the last 2-3 years, he's not been on it, and you can't hold people up and keep them if just because of the name and just because of the look at Fergie back in the Man United days. When he got rid of Van Nistelrooy, everyone batted it like, what are you getting rid of Van Nistelrooy? But he got rid of him. He got rid of Roy Keane, he got rid of Beckham when it didn't go right. And he got in people like Van Persie. It's like, I want that player. I'll get that player. Get him. This is what our owners need to do now. They need to be ambitious and they need to back Klopp when they need to back Klopp. We're not asking for Haaland. We're not asking for Mbappe. Even though we did speak to Mbappe, we're not asking for Mbappe because it's 100, 200 million. It's just too much. But we are asking for this ambition. We need this ambition, SSG, because if we don't have it, then we're just going to have seasons like this where we're not winning these trophies and we're not creating this legacy for Klopp that he deserves. He deserves so much more than what we are giving him right now.
We certainly do need to be. Jürgen needs to be backed in the transfer window. It's something, even without this loss and losing the league, it's something that we needed to do. We need to bring in a central midfielder, arguably two. Oxlade-Chamberlain looks to be on his way out of the club. Obviously, we've mentioned Origi's leaving. Mane could be leaving. We need a centre forward, albeit Sadio playing as that false nine role has really kind of invented himself this season and he's still put up very, very good numbers. We still need something extra. We still need something different because it feels like we're sort of heading down a path where we're playing in the same way, and it's to a certain extent become somewhat predictable in terms of the movement that our strikers make. And to have someone, not necessarily Harry Kane, but someone of that ilk, someone who you know is going to guarantee you 15, 20 goals a season as an out-and-out number 9 is something that we haven't really had under Jurgen Klopp. And it's something that we certainly need to look at bringing in. Do I think it'll happen? No, if I'm being honest. I think we'll maybe bring in 1 or 2 more youngsters as we have done already.
Laptops, don't forget the laptops.
Yeah.
The laptops in.
Yeah. We'll bring in 1 or 2 more things, but that's about it. I don't see us bringing in a centre forward. I see us bringing in a midfielder, if I'm being honest.
A guy that I've thought about, which would be fascinating, such a different thing. Robert Lewandowski.
Oh,
he would be just the most left field. Not left field. He played under Klopp, if I'm not mistaken. He's old. He's experienced. I mean, look at Karim Benzema. He didn't run that match, but he's 34 and he was elite.
Who would you rather, Kane or Lewandowski?
Oh, Kane. I think Kane would be legitimate. I think we should 80 million on the table.
He's
for
only
Kane.
28 as well. He's still got 4 or 5 years in him.
I think Harry Kane he's everything Firmino has, plus one of the most elite finishers in the world.
Yeah.
The one thing I am concerned about with Harry Kane is I'm not sure he's got the legs in terms of the amount of work our front three put in and the amount of running our whole team do. I don't think that's the one thing I'm slightly concerned about. I'm not sure if he's got the legs to play in our midfield. But then again, I don't know if Bobby does a lot of that running. He drops off, he comes deep, and that's something Harry Kane excels at.
I think that if you're going to spend that much on Harry Kane, you change the way you play. I think that you look at how he plays with Heung-min Son on the left. He just drops deep. We always whip in those balls over the top. Imagine him and Diaz. I mean, I think Diaz could be better than Son, so that would be an even better combo right there. But I don't know. It'd be a big change, and that'd be a big monetary figure. Other guys on the side, look, the hill I chose to die on, for whatever reason, was Naby Keita's hill. I was protecting that man and his legacy for the last 3 years. I
was on that same train.
Look, I think it was right when he tried that outside the boot shot and it went to Mars in that match today, where I was like, look, for one reason or another, I don't think it's going to work out. I think that, in my opinion, the guys that should go, one of Firmino, Salah, Mane, Oxlade. I think James Milner should leave. I don't know if there's a realistic replacement. So maybe it's just a case of convenience. I think Keita should leave. Origi's leaving. I think Minamino should leave as well. And
that's a heck of a lot of changes.
There's a lot of changes. And in my eyes, Oxlade, you got to replace with a guy like a Carvalho. I think that's the one replacement you have. A guy who could play in midfield, could also play up front. Oxlade, debatable, can he play up front? But I think Carvalho has much more potential there. You let one of Salah, Mane, Firmino leave, you got to sign a guy to replace him. Keita goes, you got to splash huge on a midfielder, whether that's Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Gavi from Barcelona is a really young guy. He would just the pitch to him would be, go learn from Thiago for a year, and then you're the starter after that. He'd be a great signing. I think you got to make a few big signings. Like before this year, we've kind of had the Diaz's, the Jotas, the Simicas. The only one that broke into the 11 was Thiago. I think we should do a couple of those this summer. That's
what's so funny. You know what's so funny about the squad depth that we have, and we say like, oh, Liverpool's got such an amazing squad now, but then you just reeled off 6 players that we need to get rid of. I mean, that tells you everything. Look at Real Madrid tonight. They brought on Camavinga. They had Hazard on the bench. They had Bale on the bench. That's a better bench than us in terms of quality. We might have had more spread out of players, but in terms of quality, bringing on the bench, what do we have? Jota, Firmino's too old now. Who else do we have that we could bring on to change that game?
I will do a lot more streams like these because obviously it's in the name transfer room. So there'll be a lot of discussions on this. I think of the front 3, it's like keep, sell, buy, loan, whatever you toss into those things. I think my judgment would be you keep and renew Salah. I think he's just too good. You can't let him walk. You sell Mane and you keep Firmino. Don't renew him. Just let him run down the contract Ronaldo style. I think that he's still got a year left in him. If someone offers a decent amount of change, like I said, take it. But I don't know. There was a comment I saw earlier that FSG had blood on their hands for this. And I was a bit taken aback by that. Like, you got to the Champions League final. Like, you clearly had the squad there. Was there players that could have been bought, that weren't bought, that would have changed this season? Premier League or Champions League, Anthony?
And I think it's a bit of a harsh comment, to be fair. We're in the running for the quadruple, so I'm not sure where that's come from. But I think, dare I say, if we had Wijnaldum, we would have won the Premier League this season. But see, I'm not even FSG in, but I disagree with that. I'm not sure how much more they could have done. We could have brought in one more midfielder. I think that's what probably cost us the league this season. And because the injuries, obviously, whenever Thiago's injured, the midfield doesn't look great. And same with Keita, I think. And I've lost a bit of respect for you, Jack. I thought you were with the Navigator fan club, man, to the end. I still think he should have started, man. We've won. He started the Man City FA Cup match. That midfield was incredible. It baffles me that Henderson gets starts, honestly, especially in the Champions League final. But we've not won a single match with Henderson playing against the Big Six this season. Keita started Carabao Cup, albeit it went to extra time and still won it. Started the FA Cup match, won it. Started the FA Cup semi-final against City, won that as well. We absolutely battered Man City in that match, but we do need another midfielder, probably 2, to be honest. I think, you know what, as much as we say we need a striker, we scored, 130 goals this season? Something crazy like that. But so I think the midfield is the biggest position we need to address. And you could argue we need like a kind of Coutinho-esque player again in that midfield. I think our midfielders just don't score goals either. They don't get assists. Whereas if you look at Man City, Gundogan, he supposedly wants to leave. I'd take him at Liverpool any day.
I would.
Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne. I think we just need more creators on the pitch and just relying on the fullbacks and either Salah or one of the other forwards to produce assists.
You mentioned the names you just rattled off for City: Silva, De Bruyne, Gundogan. They're guys who are central midfielders, can play a bit further forward, but their creative threats are from the center. You know, they do cross it, they do get it out wide. We have elite threats in Robertson and Trent, but I think we need to no more half measures. You know, getting a guy like a Thiago who is a great tempo controller, can't score. That's fine. It's fine to have guys like him, but Tchouaméni is everything. He can be that holding midfielder, but also is progressive enough. Jude Bellingham has everything in his locker to be that right-sided central midfielder. I think you need to go all in this summer. You know, I don't know if we're 2 transfer windows behind, because I just struggle to see how this. The only reason I would disagree with that statement is that players could have been developed in the Liverpool system for much longer, rather than you sign out a Nkunku, a Jared Bowen, a Darwin Nunez, even Carvalho will have much more time to adapt next year, when they could have been kind of doing that as a reserve. But that's, again, a bit tough there. Getting towards the end of the stream, tomorrow is the trophy parade. What are your guys' emotions going to be when you watch that? How do you anticipate you to feel when you see those images, see those videos of them celebrating the 2 trophies? Which, I mean, I don't call them, they're not Mickey Mouse Cups. Teams give their all to win those. You won 2 trophies, but with what could have been, where are you guys going to stand in terms of your emotions for that trophy parade?
Obviously, it's. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be celebrating. I'd love to be there, but it's a bit soon. I get they've got a plan in advance, but the day after the Champions League final,
hard.
Like you couldn't have given it like maybe a couple more days. Like I don't care when, just a couple more days, and then I might be in a bit of a better mood. Ultimately, it has been a good season. I will be celebrating. I'll be watching it. I'll be looking forward to seeing them on the bus parading around Liverpool. But yeah, it feels like just a bit too soon. Obviously, if we'd have won, I'd be sat here saying, "Let's go! I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it." And if they'd have delayed it a few days, I'd have been like, "What? Why can't we do it the next day? Why can't we do it the next day?" But I feel, yeah, I don't know. The next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm just going to be it down in the dumps. It's not gonna be a good 2 or 3 weeks for me.
I agree. Anthony, Damon, your final thoughts, I guess, on this match, the season, the trophy parade, whatever you guys kind of want to do to close it out.
I'm quite positive for it, man. I'm gonna try my best to get to the parade tomorrow if I'm not so depressed. But I think these are the moments where, like, let's say we're not so good in 10 years' time, where we'll look back and just be like, "Oh, I wish I kind of went to those sort of events that was going on," because obviously this isn't going to last forever. We're not going to be competing for quadruples every season to eternity. So it's been a solid little season. Obviously, it would have been a bit shit losing to Madrid in the final. And, obviously Villa couldn't keep their 2-goal lead against Man City, but it's what it is. I think I've thoroughly enjoyed this, but at the same time, you know, so glad it's over, because it's just so like emotionally investing. And 3 finals in a year, it's horrible, but it is what it is. I'm happy it's over.
There was a moment where I turned to my dad during the match when we were watching it, and I said, you know, it's sometimes it's fun when your team is crap, because you're not this stressed watching it. You can kind of just relax a bit. It is a sport. Damon, your kind of final thoughts.
Regarding the parade, I mean, I think these players do need celebrating the season they've had, because they've been unbelievable. I mean, I think I'm celebrating the season more of the effort they've put in more than the cups themselves, because the FA Cup's brilliant. It's always been brilliant, but Carabao Cup, I've never really been too bothered about it anyway. So to celebrate the season as a whole, they've been absolutely boss all season, haven't they? So I mean, we can't be thankful enough for what they've done for us and what the journey they've been on with us. But again, we can't ever take us foot off FSG. We can't, because if we do, the moment we do, we're not going to get anywhere. Next season, this season we have not won one of the big trophies. That's 2 seasons running now, and we are supposed to be the best team in the world. We are the best team in the world. That team is the best team in the world. I'm not saying anything else about anyone else, because on paper, our team is the best team in the world. And we should be winning either the Premier League or Champions League at least once a season. That's 2 seasons now gone. And last season was on FSG because they didn't replace Lovren. This season's on FSG again because Diaz came in January. He was supposed to come in summer. Imagine if we got Diaz in summer.
Something to think about.
Wouldn't we be in a title race? That tells you everything you need to know. I mean, FSG do have blood on their hands in a way, because I think we need to be balanced in this fan base, because there's a lot of FSG outers, there's a lot of SG inners, and they can't seem to understand that you can criticise these people. They can criticise Klopp. If he gets it wrong, he can criticise him. He gets things wrong. He's done amazing for our club, but he deserves criticism when he needs it. FSG needs criticising. I did an article on Too Many the other week, and I pulled it out. I said, if we don't get this guy, if we don't put our effort in to get this guy, then the FSG deserve the scrutiny. And FSG inners were they came like minions, like the Despicable Me with Gru, and the minions following him, oh no, FSG. And they all came running out and they said, no, why do they deserve scrutiny? Look where they've brought us. No, Klopp's brought us here. They have landed on their feet with Klopp, big time. And yeah, fair play. They're the ones that got Klopp. And they have done some brilliant things over the years. But it doesn't mean that they're away from criticising, because they deserve the criticising. And we need to keep that foot this summer onto them. We need these players, like Jack said. We need these players.
I agree.
Klopp can't keep doing miracles every season. He can't.
I agree. Well, if you guys are debating going to the parade, as someone who is an entire ocean away from being able to go to it, I'll say go, because this was a brilliant season. It was a very fun one to create content for, to follow along with. So to you guys for being involved in these streams, talking on them, I appreciate you guys as always. To everyone who was along for the entire ride this season, it was an emotional one. 2 trophies in the end. I wanted 4, but that's asking for quite a lot. Louis will have a watch along of the trophy parade tomorrow as a bit of a memento to celebrate the season. So make sure to tag along with that if you can. But, for one last time, as a match review in the 2021-2022 season, I've been Jack. That's been Damon. That's been Anthony. That's been Tino. Sebastian. We'll catch you next time in the LFC Transfer Room. Take care and have a good night.